You went to a public school now. Was this a natural thing to do? Were you among people of your own sort of type and class there, or were you slightly...
I would say not, no. They considered it was, that they tried to give me the best education that they possibly could, which I think was a fine thing for them to do, because neither of them had an education, really, you know. And I didn't want it. I felt it was making the thing too much in a mould.
Now, wait a minute. At the age of 14, you can't have thought it was making you too much in a mould.
Yes, I did. Most definitely. And I left there myself, and it was one of the best decisions I made, I think.
I was going to ask you, you left at 16, didn't you?
15.
Why did you leave then exactly?
I wanted to get into the theatre. I'd say I'd shown no particular sign of ability at that time, but I felt that I could do it somehow. I don't know why, really. And, well, it more or less... I went to a technical college, learned shorthand, typing, did a few sort of odd jobs for a short time. And then, when the war started, I went into troop entertainment.
You, in fact, went into the RAF, presumably as an ordinary Irk, and then drifted into entertainment. Is that correct?
No, I was doing it before.
Ah, yes.
Yes, when I was about 16, 17.
But your first professional experience was with, what, ENSA, or...?
First professional experience wasn't really till after the war, 1947.
But you had a good deal of experience of entertaining on a fairly large scale, even if not professionally, while you were in the RAF.
Oh, yes, because I went into the gang show, the Ralph Reeder's gang show, and it was a great experience for all of us, really, because we played in all sorts of circumstances, of ships in caves, you know, on backs of lorries and everything. And we did a lot of things that we weren't able to do. I mean, there were only 11 men in the company, and everybody had to do things. You made about 14 appearances in the show, you see. And although you did a lot of things that you weren't really suited to do, it somehow opened it up a little more, and you saw possibilities of expanding in a way that you hadn't thought of before.
Now, when you were demobbed, did you go pretty quickly into professional showbiz?
No, not really. There were quite long periods of nothing, and...
Well, what happened? Tell us what nothing means.
I came out of the Air Force in November 1946. There was the gratuity, of course. That lasted about 3 weeks. Then there was sort of certain loans and bits and pieces. And I got a first job about, I think, about May 1947.
And what was that job?
That was in a thing called Wings. That was the first professional show that I did. That was again with Ralph Reeder, but it lasted, it was on tour for several weeks, but then again there was another nasty gap. And I was living in a room in Barons Court, and eating a particularly horrible brand of sausage, which at least was filling and sort of kept me going, that sort of thing. But no, there was quite a long time before it really began to take any shape, or that you could say that you were earning a living out of it.
Well, now, when did you earn a living?
I should say from about 1948 onwards.
And how did it start?
At the Windmill, really.
At the Windmill in London?
Yes.
A rather specialised form of entertainment. You didn't strip, presumably, did you?
No, fortunately not. No, it's a marvellous place, really, to run in an act. We did 6 shows a day for 6 days a week, and you learned to die like a swan, you know, gracefully. I mean, I used to go on, the show used to start at 12:15, I used to go on at 12:19 to 3 rows of gentlemen reading newspapers, and nothing, you see, absolutely nothing. But you learnt to die with a smile on your face, you see, and walk off. Then you came back again at 2 o'clock to the same people. And you died again, you see. But it was a very great experience. I didn't enjoy it at the time, but it's been a great benefit afterwards.
Did you ever succeed in making them put their newspapers down before you finished?
No, but I tell you what, the best thing was the drunks used to come in about 3:20 when the pubs were closed, and they were quite lively, you know, so it made the day go.
And then after the Windmill, then radio came.
Yes.
And you pretty rapidly became a national figure.
No, then again, there were quite long gaps between this. There were a lot of summer seasons and things which were valuable experience to me during this time, and only a few broadcasts.
I noticed looking through what's been published about your career that there's a bit of obscurity about this, but it seems as if 3 times in recent years you've had some sort of a breakdown in health. Is this true? Is your health a bit ropey?
Oh, no, I don't think so. This is mainly from the Adelphi. This stems from one occasion at the Adelphi. I was there for, I went in as a replacement, and I went in too quickly, and the act that I had wasn't particularly good, and we were doing twice a night, and the show ran for 2 years, and the act was a little dodgy, shall we say, and if I didn't work absolutely to pitch every performance, it didn't go very well, so I had to force myself into this position. And eventually it just sort of wore me out, and I went off for a month, that's all.
You never had any experience of this kind at the windmill. It was the particular circumstances of this show which...
The windmill was too quick, you know. You sort of on and off and on and off and off. It was different. And it wasn't doing the same thing, you see, over and over again for 2 years. It's a long time, twice a night.
Ah, now you like the change all the time.
I love it, yes.
This is perhaps why you've specialised in radio and TV.
It is entirely, because now I think I would hate to do a show like that anymore. I like the challenge of new material every week.
Yes. Now, did you in fact have a health breakdown earlier, well, last autumn or not?
That was purely and simply that is a thing that sometimes happens in this business. I have a lot of dialogue to learn every week, and sometimes if you get onto the sort of vicious circle of getting too tired to learn, and then not sleeping because you're worried that you're not learning, you eventually come down to this. And I had a week off and a sort of sleep, and it was all right again.
It's often said of you, and I think my own observations for what they're worth bear this out, that you don't find it very easy to incorporate women in your act. There have been some exceptions, Hattie Jakes, for instance, but on the whole, yes, you have had difficulty. Now, why? Is this something to do with your own brand of comedy?
No, I don't think so. I think that you can only... Hattie is fine because she plays a sort of a comic character anyway, but a sort of straight love interest with the character that I play is virtually impossible.
Why?
Well, it seems so to me, you know. I mean, you can't really get romantic about the sort of gentleman in the Homburg hat and the fur collar, surely. It just doesn't apply.
Are you absolutely stuck to this character now? Do you see it modifying and developing at all?
Oh, yes, I think so, definitely. There are certain things I'd like to get away from now, really. They're difficult to talk about and impossible to talk about, really. But gradually you do pull away from... you try and throw away the rubbish. I mean, it accumulates all the time, and you try and throw it away and come down to what is really your own personality. In other words, you spend most of the time discarding, not gathering.
And this is a job that you've not finished doing yet?
Oh, by no means.
Facing an individual performance, do you actually enjoy it, or is it hell while you're doing it?
No, it's a bit of hell just before it starts. There's a lot of, champing around and trying to get an edge, a right edge, so that you are relaxed, but also have a kick, so that you are going to be alive and also relaxed. It needs a great deal of concentration and hold upon yourself to do this. Sometimes... it's a little too quick to really enjoy, I think, but there you are. It's very challenging. It is enjoyable as a whole. But, there's too much immediate concentration to really... You can't really completely say, oh, well, we can have a bit of a ball, you know.
Looking back on your first 35 years, jolly straight question, are you happy or not?
I've been very fortunate. I think I have everything that that anybody could want to make them happy. But wait a minute, I haven't finished it. I was going to say that the only happiness I could achieve would be to perfect the talent that I have, whatever it may be, however small it may be. That is the whole purpose of it, and that is the whole purpose of what I do.
Some of the newspaper writers who've tried to puzzle out what makes you tick have said that you're the angst man, the anxiety man. Now, have you any notion of what your anxiety is? Do you, in fact, get a kick out of your anxiety?
How do you think so? Anxiety? Would you explain it a bit more?
Well, something appears to me, even at the end of this conversation, to be eating you. You say that your happiness is just ahead of you still. There's something troubling you about the world. I'd like to know what it is.
I wouldn't expect happiness. I don't think that's possible. But I'm very fortunate to be able to work in something that I like. I think to have to work in something that is pleasure is all anybody can ask.
You wouldn't then change your way of life at all?
I'd try and improve it, yes.
Well, improve it, but you'd go on in the same way, getting better at what you're doing.
Yes, and if such a time came that I found that I'd come to the end of what I could develop out of my own ability, or limited however it may be, then I wouldn't want to do it anymore.
Tony Hancock, I wonder if you really get very much out of your triumphs. You've got cars that you don't drive. You've got health, which you tell me is a bit roped because you find
didn't
it so...
tell you that.
Well, you find it so difficult to learn your lines. You've got money that you can't really spend. You worry about your weight.
I spend the money. I do. I enjoy it.
Well, what I want to put to you as a final question is this. You could stop all this tomorrow if you wanted to. You're rich enough to coast along for the rest of your days. Now,
money is of no account in this.
Well, tell me why you go on.
Because...
Tell me why you go on as a last answer.
Because it absolutely fascinates me, because I love it, and because it is my entire life.